Once upon a time in PHC, a married couple gave birth to the cutest kid. Destined to preach the hand of God was upon him, but the road ahead of him wasn't easy until he found Christ, whose yoke is easy. Now everything is easy peasy weezy for cheesy, really easy picking cheese mixed with joyful living. When you give your life to Christ, life is sweet and creamy. Yum yum, tastes like heaven on a bed of roses. Come, I see some say that's not the way it is, but you don't know the power Jesus gives. You carry your cross after the cross with power he gives thee, power that exceeds the wildest dreams and fantasies of Samson. Yep, the power of the Spirit. Problem is you don't know the power given to thee or how to use it, so I'm here to teach thee.
House hacking. What is it? Should you do it? I did it, and I'm going to tell you.
The single best financial decision you can make. House hacking.
House hacking is the most financially advantageous way to own a home.
House hacking.
House hacking.
Essentially what house hacking means is you own a building or a home and you find ways to generate income from that home while still living in it, aka people are paying all of your mortgage or part of your mortgage. House hacking.
Well, if that's the meaning of house hacking, I've been talking about house hacking forever and it's not new. And it's, a practical concept. When you look at monopoly, the concept of buying hotels versus residential homes. And as a matter of fact, look at Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump do with Trump Tower? He built a tower that, that was before, he ran for president and lost it thanks to Democrats being crazy. But he built basically a skyscraper, that he makes a lot of money from, that generates millions upon millions. And he lives at the top. He lives at basically, it's kind of like building a giant hotel, then living in the presidential suites. That makes sense. Or like, you buy a villa or a mansion, then rent out the rooms or perhaps use part of it for a warehouse or something. There's something I've been talking about and it's not new. In Nigeria, for example, there are a lot of landlords do this. They buy a compound. When they build a house, they build apartments and then they rent out the apartments. So they have their own apartments in the compound or in the house, So it's like, if it is one house, they rent out some rooms. And it is not even just Nigeria. This is something that when you look at the concept of bed and breakfast, like if you look at Sherlock Holmes lived in 221B Baker Street, and Mrs. Hudson owned that the entire building, but it was something she got from her husband. And what she was doing was that she rented out some rooms. And that was the concept of a bed and breakfast, and this was something that was done in the Victorian era, and later on, for some reason it stopped, but it is a good way to, especially for, that is one of the many ways that women were making money, for the people who like to talk nonsense about women being oppressed in the past and, independence and all of that. It is one of the ways that women made money. And of course, women inherited from their fathers and from their husbands, and, there are many, cultures that if let's say that a woman's husband dies, she becomes a widow, her brother is now, that is the brother of her late husband, is now his responsibility to take care of her financially. In some cases it wasn't only financial, but also it was kind of like she kind of became like a second wife or or in that kind of something of that similar sort. But in majority of the cases it wasn't the wife aspect, it was just financial, so the financial responsibility fell that way. So women have always enjoyed without working. Women enjoyed more back in the day than now. So all the people who are talking about women being oppressed, they don't know what they are saying. They are talking nonsense. But that being said, back in the day, like in the Sherlock Holmes stories, you see Mrs. Hudson, she rented out that 221B Baker Street, that particular room, to Holmes. Holmes was paying her rent. So she was cooking, and of course part of the concept of a bed and breakfast is, even though some rooms are rented out, the general kitchen area, it's kind of like you buy a 3-bedroom flat or a 3-bedroom house, then you rent out rooms. So everybody, it's a common parlor, a common kitchen, and all of that. Then, as an added service, you can be cooking, or you can say they'll be depending on, you include it in their bill if they want that option, that they will get either only breakfast or they will get breakfast and lunch and dinner, you know. So that is included in their bill. Sometimes it is not an option, it is not there. So this is something that if you watch, if you also if you're into old classic movies that were made in the 30s, you'll see a lot of it. You'll see a lot of this structure. Or if you watch stuff like or if you listen to old time radio, you'll see a lot of situations where that was the setting that, you know, the whole adventure, the whole story took place. So, but let's keep watching the video.
Is a glorified way of saying that you own a house and have roommates. I've seen a lot of videos on this, and as someone that did house hacking for 2 years, I think there's some people making it sound like it's easier than it actually is to do. I just want to give you my real life experience of house hacking, how it worked for me. Before we get into it, this video is sponsored by Cuba Casa, and you're going to want to listen to this because they are really helpful for house hackers, homeowners, realtors, renters, aka like everyone out there. Cuba Casa is an app that has a mobile capture technology where you can scan a house, a townhouse, a condo, maybe even my Airstream. Maybe I should try that. And it creates a floor plan for you. It can do it in as little as 5 minutes. And it's free. You go into a house, you open the app, you scan the floor plan. It's got really simple directions to follow. Upload it, and you receive your floor plan. Real estate agents out there, you're gonna want this. I don't know about you, but I get asked probably half the time by my clients if a home has a floor plan. In the past, I hated saying no. So it's awesome having Cuba Casa because not only can I just tell them about it if they want to create their own floor plan, or I can do it for them, and I feel like I'm providing so much more value to them as a realtor. So you're definitely gonna want to download it. It's available in over 170 countries, and they recently made it free in the US because they believe floor plans should be free and easy to access. It's in the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. I'm going to have it linked below. Thanks again to Cuba Casa for sponsoring this portion of the video. Now, the biggest thing I hear with house hacking is people living completely for free. This really came on the scene with multifamily units. So you'd buy a fourplex and you'd live in one of them, and the other 3 would generate enough revenue where it would pay not only their own portions, but also yours. Well, that is incredible. It's not realistic in every market. It's definitely not realistic in my market of Seattle. I'll show you a couple examples here. There's not a lot of inventory with multifamily in Seattle in general, but I'm going to show you just a couple options. This is probably the cheapest you can get, $775,000 for a duplex. They're renting one of the units for $1,800 and the other for about $2,000. They're getting like almost $4,000 a month from it. But with this purchase price, you might start to break even, but there's no way you're going to be able to rent out like a 2-bed, 2-bath in this area of Seattle for close to $4,000 a month to cover your mortgage too. You get what I'm saying? Here's another option. This is another duplex. Like, I would live in that. It's nice. These are 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom units. They're able to get $2,500 a month. Again, at best, you're kind of getting close to breaking even if you're putting like 30% down. You can't just like live in one of these units and rent the other out for $5,000 a month. The Seattle market, you just can't really do it. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't house hack. There's still ways where it can be really advantageous for you, and we'll get into my story. So here's my house. I bought it in 2019 for $770,000. So I've got a bedroom on the bottom with its own bathroom, the middle floor, so it separates that bottom bedroom, and then the top floor has 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms of their own. I bought this house with 10% down and a 4.5% interest rate, and my monthly payment was $4,700 a month. Now, I'm not gonna be able to get 2 roommates in here covering all $4,700 for me. It's just not gonna happen, and I was okay with that. That was not my expectation. The way I wanted to house hack was to just offset some of my mortgage. I occupied the primary bedroom and bathroom and the garage. The bottom bedroom, although really small, you'd be surprised, like people will still rent it. So for that, I charged $950 a month. And then the second bedroom upstairs was a little bit bigger, a little bit more natural light, and a bigger bathroom. So that one I charged $1,150 a month. In rental income, income, I was getting $2,100 a month, and I was paying $2,600 a month. I know that doesn't sound really amazing, but let me break it down a little bit more for you. Of my $2,600 a month, let's not forget I'm paying my mortgage, where $900 a month was going towards principal. So that was the equity and that forced savings there. Effectively, it's really like I was paying $1,500 a month, but I own the house, and every month it's appreciating. After the first year of owning it, the townhouse next to me went for sale, and it sold for $830,000. So in my first year of ownership, my house appreciated $58,000. If we divide that $58,000 over 12 months, it's as if my house was paying me $4,800 a month just for me owning it. Do you see what I mean? Do you see when you dive into that math? The appreciation of my home, plus the rental income, plus the principal payment that I'm getting. Although out of pocket every month, you know, I was paying $2,600, but by simply owning the property and the principal payments, I was making $5,700. So overall, I was netting $3,100 a month just for living in my house. And then the next year, something really cool happened. Interest rates just plummeted. I was able to refinance, and I got my payment from $4,700 a month down to $3,700 a month overnight. Okay, I will say my house appreciated a lot more than I expected that it would have in the first year, as a lot of people who bought in 2019, 2020 have experienced. I did not go into it.
You know, what I'll say is this. It is not always that one gets to enjoy that kind of appreciation. You know, the housing markets wouldn't always appreciate, you know, in that fashion. So in that case, what do you do? And, you know, this whole concept of house hacking, you know, there's something Robert Kiyosaki said many years ago, you know, before the term house hacking came, you know. House hacking is not even the best word to describe this the concept of what house hacking is, you know, but you know, to get what Robert Kiyosaki said, you know, he explained that an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket every month, you know, and a liability is anything that takes away money from your pocket every month. You know, of course, that is different from what you get, you know, the definition that you get in an economics textbooks, you know. The Robert Kiyosaki definition of assets and liability is the one I use in life, and it's very powerful and it's very simplistic. An asset puts money in your pocket, a liability does not. So, for example, school fees is a liability. It might be a necessary liability, but it's a liability. You know, if you buy a home and you rent it out, that is an asset. If you buy a home and you live in it, that is a liability. Of course, you need a roof over your head, but it is not putting money in your pocket. You know, that purchase is not putting money in your pocket. Now, the house hacking concept turns that liability of a home into an asset. You know, so like I said, you know, one thing that she's focusing on in the concept of house hacking is renting out. You know, so it's kind of like you buy a home, then you rent out part of the home, or you rent out, you know, and you're living with people. But that is not just the only way you have to look at this. There are other things you can do. You know, for example, you can choose to use a portion of your home, like let's say you have some space, you can use it as a farm. So the farm is producing goods that you sell and you are making money from, or you can use it as perhaps a tennis court, or you can lease it out or rent it out, you know, if there's space, you know, for holding events, or you yourself, you can use it for holding events, or you can throw house parties, you know, that are monetized, you know. There are several things you can do. You can use your garage as a warehouse, you know, and that saves you warehouse space, or, you know, you can lease it out as to people to actually store goods and things like that, you know. And I believe even Amazon has fulfillment center kind of thing, you know, a situation where you can turn properties you own into a fulfillment center or a storage unit and all those kind of things. There are companies that do those kinds of things. So those are some of the ways that you can turn your house into something that is putting money into your pocket every month, and not just it being a liability. So that is that. That being said, make sure you check out Alfred.vip and subscribe and like all things Alfred on this platform and across other platforms. Thank you and God bless you. Say this prayer audibly if you have not given your heart to Jesus Christ. Dear God, I believe in my heart that Jesus Christ, the Son of God, came, died, and was raised from the dead to save me. I confess Him, Lord, over my life and ask You to give me Your Holy Spirit to live within me. I receive Your Spirit by faith and thank You for I am now born again. In Jesus' name, amen. If you just prayed that prayer, congratulations, you're now a Christian. Go to Alfred.vip and click the salvation prayer link in the main menu to get resources that will help you with your work with God. God bless you.